Hello, my name is Maslin Smith. I'm a student nurse with the University of South Alabama, and today I'm going to be performing my enema checkoff. So I'm going to show you my ID, and then I'm going to perform a room scan. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure I have all my supplies, my enema bag, my soap, my lubricant, my gloves, my goggles, my bedpan. I'm going to verbalize that I do have a bedpan, and I would use an IV pole, but unfortunately I don't have one today, so I'm just going to be holding it. And I'm going to perform hand hygiene and put on my goggles. Okay, now I'm going to take my enema bag and my soap to the sink and fill it up. So I'm going to fill the enema bag with 750 to 1,000 milliliters of water. So I'm just going to open it. I'm going to do it with this hand, that way the tube doesn't touch the sink. And fill it with 750 to 1,000 milliliters of water. Okay, so now that I have my water, I have 750 milliliters. I'm going to take my soap and I'm going to pour it in. I'm not going to open it today, but I would pour it in and I would just make sure to agitate it with the water, just mixing it in. And then I would prime the tubing. So I'd unclamp my tubing and remove my top. Place it right here. Okay, and I'm going to just prime the tubing really quick, just get a little bit of water running through it, that way it's primed. And I'm going to clamp it once again. Just let this excess water drain out of it really quickly. Okay, so it's drained. I'm gonna put the top back on just so I can transport it back to the table over there. Okay, so I'm going to set it down on a firm surface or an IV pole, but I'm just going to set it down on a firm surface because I do not have an IV pole with me. Okay, so after I do that, I'm going to perform hand hygiene once again, and I'm just going to raise the bed to where I can hide. I'm going to lower the side rails. I'm going to make sure my patient is in left lateral Sims position. I'm going to apply my gloves. So now that I have my gloves on, I'm going to take my tubing and my dominant hand. I'm going to take this off and I would throw it away. And then I would get my non-dominant hand and just lube the tubing. So I would either put it on or put it on my waterproof sheet that I have right here that I didn't mention in the beginning, but I do have to have a waterproof sheet or a linen protector down during this procedure. I would either put it on the tubing or on the sheet, and I would either lube it up and prime it. I'd grab my enema bag, and since I don't have an IV pole, I'm going to hold it 12 to 18 inches above the patient's rectum. I'm going to place my hand on the side of my patient's hip gently and just ask the patient to take a deep breath and exhale. If a patient has hemorrhoids, they may bear down a little bit, but I'm going to spread the buttocks with my non-dominant hand. And I'm going to put my tubing in 3 to 4 centimeters, or 3 to 4 inches. Be careful not to touch. Okay, and once I put it in 3 to 4 inches, I'm going to hold it and pick up my enema bag 12 to 18 inches above the rectum. And I would unclamp it, but for now I'm not going to because I don't want to make a mess everywhere. But on a mannequin or on a real patient, I would unclamp and I would let all of this water, or it could be water or normal saline, drain into the patient's rectum. And after all of it drains, I would take it out. But if the patient ever got uncomfortable or began to cramp, I would either lower the bag and clamp the tubing, or I could get the patient to take a deep breath. Okay, so now I'm going to pull it out, and I would discard of this. And since I've taken it out, I would just ask the patient to hold it for about 10 to 15 minutes. I would take off my gloves and put on a new pair, or perform hand hygiene, then put on a new pair, because I'm going to grab a bedpan and help the patient onto this to evacuate. So this wide part of the bedpan goes on the back, and the lower part is towards the buttocks. So after I've done that, I'm going to take my gloves off and make sure everything is cleaned up, and I throw all this away. And then I move on to documentation. So to document, I would just do the type and amount of the enema, the time, how the patient reacted, the color, and the amount of return, and how the patient reacted after the procedure. So this concludes my enema checkoff. Thank you.